Hold on a second. We have an opening. Okay, just gotta give me a second to get it up. Wherever it might be. There we go. Okay, hold on. No, they made some changes here.
Yeah.
Okay, so they are. Hold, let me get rid of it now. There we go. They moved buttons around. What can I say?
Gotta love those upgrades.
We're going to talk about flooding protection. It's hard to say prevention because you really can't necessarily prevent the flood.
Yeah.
And I don't think people realize just how powerful water is.
Uh, yeah. It's real powerful.
So my suggestion is, if you really want to get a good idea of just how powerful water is, go to a water park. You know where they have that big bucket of water, and then when it fills up, it dumps down.
Hmm.
Yeah, stand underneath that.
Have one of those at the local park here.
Yeah, you're going to get a really good idea just how powerful water is. And that is just basically a bucket of water. Um, I understand a lot of the deaths that occur in a flooding situation has to do with people in cars trying to cross over running water on the road.
Yeah. I think because it's hard to gauge how deep it is.
Yeah,
And then by the time you find out, it's too late.
it's a little bit too late, right? Even if you see that the water is, I think it is, if running water is 6 inches in depth, you cannot walk across that. That force of the water will knock you down.
Hmm.
Okay. If you start going into deeper, it can move a car. Right? And it may move the car where you really don't want it to be. But let's talk about how do you protect yourself from floods. Okay. And the first really is knowing what your first of all what your what your normal flood risk is. Okay. So here where I am at, my big flood, because the groundwater here is very high. So we always get a lot of rain. And I have set up, we call it the moat, Kate. So I had a moat,
Remote.
yeah, moat built literally around the house. I had a landscaper come in, and they call it rainscaping now. But basically, it catches the water because it's all downhill. My house goes downhill. So it catches the water and it diverts it to the around and away from the house so it doesn't end up filling up my crawl space underneath my house.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that's something that we have, landscaping to help deal with what would be possible flooding in my house. So flooding isn't just rivers overflowing. Flooding isn't the tsunami, the once in a lifetime tsunami slamming your area. It can be excessive amounts of rain, and the ground cannot hold that amount of water, and that's where flooding comes in. Now, here where it is pretty wet all the time, it takes a lot of water to do that because the ground readily accepts the rainwater. But you're in Arizona.
Yeah, in Arizona, because we don't get rain all that often, the ground is really, really dry. So when we do get rain, and sometimes it'll come down in a monsoon, you'll tend to see a lot more flooding then because the ground is so dry, it's not soaking it up. But I also, when I lived in Chicago, um, where my townhouse was, yeah, I didn't think that I was in a flood zone. And then we got a lot of rain at one point, and it was almost up to the house. So um, I've come pretty close to having some flood damage.
Okay. So, but it is knowing your risk. So it's not even that, again, you're not near a river, um, or you're not near an ocean. At any point you can flood for any reason. All right.
Mhm.
So, uh, when we first moved here, one of the recommendations we got was to contact a landscaper, right, and see what they could do to make sure it would put the to minimize the risk of flood in my home. All right. So that's where we got. Don't ask. You do not want to know how much my moat cost.
I won't ask.
Don't ask. Okay. My moat cost. But the thing is, I have a moat, Kate. Um, and they did a couple other things for when they put the gutters up on the house. Um, it drains. It doesn't drain around the base of my house. So the gutters drain underground, and then there's a catch basin about, I don't know, 100 yards down from my house. So the rainwater, we get a lot of rain, okay? It doesn't degrade the foundation of my house,
Okay.
right? So a good a good person to talk to is your local landscaper. And I don't have anything against like Home Depots or Costco's or whatever that have a plant department. They are not landscapers. Go to your local garden center. All right. They are generally owned by people who've been in the area for generations. Right. And have them come out and make some suggestions on how you can best prepare your house for that kind of flooding. All right. Now, let's say you live near a river. Okay. Even if it's never flooded before, it doesn't mean it won't flood the next time some big huge storm comes. All right, we've got the whole country is getting stocked with storm after storm after storm. I'm now worried about flying out to Atlanta because of another storm that's coming across the midsection of the country. You know,
See, we're lucky if we get anything. We haven't had rain in who knows how long.
oh, it's raining right now. What can I say?
It's raining right now.
It's raining right now.
I was talking to one of the local business owners, and we were both joking, saying, if we don't get rain soon, we're just going to start doing a rain dance. We got to do something. We want some moisture.
Well, I would like to bottle it up and send it your way. And there is in this area, your weather apps will say there's no rain, but it's actually raining, but it's that misty type of rain that doesn't count apparently as rain.
Oh, I hate that misty rain.
So it's raining and it's a very, very slight, it's a little droplets. It's really not even a drizzle. It's just like short of a drizzle,
Yeah,
but it's raining.
yeah.
But my app doesn't say that. Oh no, it's not raining. I don't know what you're talking about. Who are you going to believe? Your eyes or my app?
Was like for us, it'll say, chance of rain, and the clouds come rolling in. It looks like it's really going to downpour, but I don't know if it's just where we're placed in between the mountains. It never hits us.
Okay. All right. So if you're not sure what your flood potential is in your area, that's a simple trip to your emergency management office at your town hall or city hall or county office. They can answer that question for you. They know. All right. They need to know because they have to plan emergencies and disaster training around whether or not they need to know where it's likely to happen. Okay. So, say you're in an area that you know you can flood. You're not that far from a river, yada, yada. Yada. How do you protect your house? Okay. Here's the first thing I'm going to tell you. And I would say this because I am in a tsunami zone. Well, technically, the tsunami zone ends 20 feet in front of my property line. Okay. But if I get the warning that a tsunami is coming, I'm prepared to leave. and I'm going to take my dogs and my husband and whatever else I deem important that's ready to go, and we're going to go up mountain. And then when the dangers pass, I'm going to come back. There is nothing in my house that isn't replaceable. Okay, what's not replaceable is the human lives and my pets. I can't replace them. So I'll do all the preparation that I need to do, but at the end of the day, I'm just going to leave and come home and hope for the best. Right? So about leaving, okay? Um, if you leave because of a flood, shut off the power to your house. And if you have propane tanks, shut them off too. We've all seen the meme of the dumpster on fire floating in a flood, right?
Mhm.
I don't know why it was on fire. Maybe there was a propane tank in there, but fire and water, when kept far enough apart from each other, say via a dumpster, okay, can absolutely coexist. So turn it off. And the reason you want to turn off the power is because that you don't want, if your house is flooded, you don't want the water energized because there's still power to everything.
Right.
All right, so how do you protect your house? All right, you get the landscaper in, and they're going to give you suggestions on what you can do. Okay, um, where water is going to come into your house, kind of need to identify that. Water will find a way.
It'll
Sure.
come in everywhere.
It can come in anywhere. Anywhere there is, think if you have any mice in your house, water can get in the same way.
And
All right,
then some.
what was that?
And then some.
And then some.
Hmm.
But you can do your best to protect, and the more you do to protect your property, the less the less damage outside of an absolute inundation. I mean, we've seen the photos of water. People are on the roofs of their house and they could step out into the water.
Hmm.
Right? There is not much that you could have done to prevent water from coming into your house with that type of volume. Right? The only thing I would tell you is that, you know what, given an order to leave, leave.
Hmm.
If it turns out to be nothing, then you went for a ride. You come home. All right. Um, right. They do in certain areas. I think was in Florida, mostly I think in Florida, the hurricane areas, they make windows and doors that have resistance to hurricanes. Is that a better word?
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. All right. The point is that there are, it's not just the windows, it's how the windows are installed, it's how the doors are installed. But they make things that you could put up against like first story windows and doors to help water from getting in from those entry points.
Hmm.
They're 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 called inflatable dams, and um, it could help. All right, but again, it's knowing what do you call it? It's knowing what your particular danger calls for, what your area calls for. All right, Kate, you're a first responder.
Hmm.
What advice would you give for people for floods?
For floods,
Yeah.
um, based on everything that you've talked about already, I think that is a good foundation. I think in some areas, having sandbags and putting sandbags around the house. Um, I know sometimes that was considered in the Chicagoland area.
Okay.
I think for the hurricanes and stuff, they actually board up their windows.
Okay.
Um, and I think, I I don't live in a hurricane area, but don't they have the shutters that
They
you can
have the
bring?
shutters, and I was also reading something earlier today that if you don't have like the the hurricane shutters or the type of windows that are supposed to be helpful against floods, you can make do with certain things. Okay,
Mhm.
so you could put up the wood, and one of the articles that I read was that some people would take like those cans of the sealant, the that black rubber sealant that water can't get through.
Mhm.
Have you seen those?
No.
I don't know. I forget what it's called, but they would just spray the windows with the sealant, and it makes them waterproof. And then of course, you got to peel it off. I don't know what a pain that is, but
Yeah.
I bet it's a whole lot easier than squeegeeing water out of your house.
Yeah. I mean, hey, at that point, I'd try it.
I would try it. It couldn't hurt.
Yeah.
Okay. So being prepared for a flood. Okay, let's debunk something real quick. Okay. Do not put important papers into your dishwasher. That goes around on Facebook all the time.
I was gonna say I wouldn't have thought to put it into dishwasher.
Because you know what? When the machine is on and spraying water inside, it doesn't leak out. So theoretically, the argument is that, well, if it keeps water in, it should keep water out.
Mm,
But that's not necessarily the case, and that is because of the plumbing that brings the water into it.
yeah.
Okay, so your dishwasher is not the place to put important paperwork as you're leaving.
No. Well, wouldn't you want that in your go bag and have that bag go with you if you're leaving?
Yes, we're going to talk about that right after our commercial.
Okay.
Are you tired of putting off your emergency and disaster planning manual? Look no further. This 67-page fillable template will make the process a breeze. Simply fill in the blanks for your business and gain access to checklists for supplies, common hazards, debriefing, evacuation and sheltering in place protocols, resources, recovery, maintenance, as well as best intake practices. It's time to take action and be prepared. Get your copy today at positiveed.com/books.
Okay, so being prepared to leave at a moment's notice, okay, and having knowing at least where your important stuff is so that you can grab it and go.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you think maybe, well, the top floor of my house will be safe. But again, we've all seen the photographs of the flooding where it is up to and over the second floor of a house. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So having the stuff that is really important, and yes, there is so much stuff you could put in the cloud, and that might be the first place to start, of getting photocopies, uploading it somewhere to a cloud database so that you at least have copies of important paperwork. Right. Um, bank mortgages. A lot of, I mean, at least a lot of the towns and the cities are getting with the whole into the 20. Well, they're just some of them just coming into the 20th century, but coming into the 21st century and getting all of their records, deeds, land, property, yada yada yada, up into their own cloud service. But you need to make sure you have your own stuff. So copies of birth certificates, okay, driver's license, passports, anything. I have a, a container, and the container contains all the important paperwork of the house. Um, books, the receipts, like my business books here. It's got my passports. It got the driver's license, copies of the driver's license, the marriage certificate, um, birth certificates, all in one place so that that's in a container. I can pick that up, put it into my car on the way out. The more prepared you are, the faster you can get out. So make your minutes count. All right. How long would it take you? Well trained dogs that you have, Kate,
Mm-hmm.
You get in the car and go.
Oh, probably a couple minutes.
2 minutes?
Yeah, maybe 3.
Let's say 3 minutes. 3 minutes sounds about right. I've got 4 dogs, and it will probably take me 3 minutes to leash them up,
Yeah.
get them into the vehicle. All right, maybe less because it's me and my husband. Right, and maybe I'll just throw them into their crates in the car and just throw their leashes in afterwards.
Yeah.
Okay, but do I want to spend 5, 6 minutes looking for dogs, trying to remember what it is I need when I can do it in 2 minutes? All right. Say I have 5 minutes to get out of the house. 2 minutes is just spent getting the dogs in the car. I now have 3 minutes. All right. What can I load up in that car in 3 minutes? If you're not prepared, you might be able to grab a couple of things and go, and that's it.
Yeah, floodwater, that can come really, really fast. We had, I think it was
Fast.
2 years ago now, maybe 3 years ago now. There was a family that was camping out in the mountains, and we had a flash flood, and it ended up coming through and took the whole family. They had no time to do anything. It came so fast.
All right. So part of this is now paying attention. And now that there may not be much staff for NOAA or FEMA, a lot of this is going to fall on the states to warn you. Okay.
Mhm.
Pay attention to weather reports. Right. If you know a major storm is coming through, make some assumptions that this could impact you and be ready for it. All right. So what I have that's ready to go, of course, is my box of important papers. I have a container of dog stuff. So that's food, treats. I do have face masks for my dogs. I have a litter there. I have to like carry them out. What else do I got in there? Water dishes. I got bottled water for both me and the dogs. I got food, not, and honestly, Kate, it is not what we would call healthy food.
Better than nothing.
Probably going to be under the category of comfort food, which is okay.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to have a rather extensive first aid kit. Okay. I'm going to have a sort of like the bug out bag that's got the portable radio in there. It's got the flashlights. Got that little tool for the gas. What else is that in there? And the batteries, by the way, are all separate. I do not store batteries in anything, okay? Because they will corrode in a flashlight. They will corrode in that battery. I mean, that radio. All right. What am I missing? Oh, change of clothes. I gotta change of clothes. That always stays in the car.
Yeah. Which is a good idea.
The cases of water are stacked, right? I do try to rotate things so that I don't have a case of water that's like 6 years old.
Yeah. But really, quite honestly, in that type of situation, if you didn't do that and that's what you had on hand, better than nothing.
It is better than nothing. Okay. In my pantry, my emergency food, let's say that I'm stuck in the house, is up on the top of the pantry so that at least I have some guarantee that, well, depends just on how bad the floods are, because the floods are that high in my house, and I shouldn't be anywhere near my house.
No. But yeah, I mean, we've had some recent natural disasters that have happened throughout the country that I think it was a really good example of how fast it can come.
Mm-hmm.
And how sometimes
you don't get a lot of warning. Sometimes you get zero warning, and you just hang on and hope for the best.
Yep.
Goes in.
So probably wouldn't be a bad idea if you know that you're in a flood area like that to maybe have an inflatable raft
Okay,
as
yes,
part of your emergency kit.
okay. But there was what part of it of North Carolina? Never there. They're high up in the mountains.
Mm-hmm. I
Flood go
know.
through it.
I know.
Right. So the point there being, it's just because you're not in a flood zone doesn't mean you can't be impacted by that. And that just came through and just decimated the whole area.
Yeah, that was really bad.
Yeah.
That was bad, and they didn't really get a whole lot of help either.
No. And
So
I know because I'm working with the Pet Stylist Relief Fund, the area is still in need.
yeah, yeah.
So as of this, we had Hurricane Helene and Milton, correct? We had the wildfires out in Connecticut, out in California.
Mm-hmm.
We had flooding in around the Tennessee area. We
Mm-hmm.
currently have fires in South Carolina right now.
And we're going to be probably having a pretty good fire season this year, considering we haven't gotten any rain.
Okay. So if you know what the problems are for your area, what your area is prone for, and being prepared for them, again, if you get, and again, if you're lucky enough to get that 5 minutes to get out of your house, make your 5 minutes count.
Yeah.
And that is being better prepared. If I get the tsunami warning, I can be out of my house in 5 minutes, comfortably out of my house in 5 minutes, and I have all the stuff that I need. Okay.
Yep.
And maybe the tsunami does end 20 feet in front of my property line. That would be awesome. Okay. But if Mother Nature does what Mother Nature does and my house gets flooded, then I've done everything that I can to safeguard my house, right? I've gotten the important stuff out and then coming back in. I'm fortunate that I do have flood insurance.
Hopefully, it doesn't get canceled.
I'm technically not in a flood zone.
Yeah.
I also have earthquake insurance. And we've been getting little tremors all over the place. I've not yet felt one,
Mm-hmm.
but they've been pretty low, like threes and fours.
Really?
Yeah. All over Washington.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's,
Scary.
yeah.
Because, if earthquake hits, yeah, there's no evacuation for me until after the earthquake is over with.
Right. And it's just gonna. I mean, it's not something like California where you kind of prepare for that.
I think
A lot of people get
this particular area, it is a lot of awareness on it.
Oh, that's good.
So probably not along the order of, say, what California prepares, but we're aware of it.
That's good. At least it's not a complete surprise.
No, it won't be a complete surprise. Okay. But the thing is, an earthquake, if it's in the Pacific Ocean, can trigger a tsunami, which would be the bigger issue.
Right. So does your flood insurance cover for this, like a tsunami?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, does it?
That's why I got flood insurance. That's
Yeah.
why I had to get flood insurance on top of an earthquake, because even if the earthquake causes the tsunami, that's now water, and that's a different policy.
Right. So how many policies did you have to get on your house then?
Okay, you have the standard homeowner's policy,
Mm-hmm.
and because this area could have earthquakes, I have to get a separate earthquake policy, and flood insurance. Flood insurance would cover a tsunami. They are two totally separate policies.
Okay.
But we haven't had the big one here yet in Washington. So my insurance, what I paid for them, for I think I paid $700 a year for my flood insurance, and maybe $600 a year for my earthquake insurance,
Okay.
which for me is doable.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's good. That's good to have that thought process.
Yeah.
Now, when you went to get insurance, did your insurance agent help you
Yes.
process through that?
Yeah. It went through her now. Flood insurance. There's only a couple of companies that does flood insurance. Okay, which is why they're pulling out of like Florida and stuff because the amount of claims. It's for the same reason a lot of insurance companies are pulling out of California because of the forest fires.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of claims. Right. I could get forest fire, whatever that extra insurance is here. This is here, it's not prone to it.
Right.
Okay. The other side of the state is, but not this side of the state. This side of the state gets too wet for forest fires to be a real concern.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. However, over the border into Canada, they have wildfires all the time because usually in the spring, all of a sudden our air quality gets horrible. And that's all the fires from Canada, the smoke coming down into this area.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and we're going to get an insurance agent on here for some, really exciting conversations.
But it's a good conversation.
All right, but it's stuff you need to know.
Right.
So when we bought the house here, and then it converted we bought the land, and then it was a construction loan, and then it was a mortgage. So the insurance agent, we didn't get earthquake insurance right away. We were probably here a couple of years before we got earthquake insurance. We got flood insurance right out of the gate.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I didn't want. I'm hoping to be like grandfathered in, because if they decide not to, right, then I'm like, I've been paying you for all these years.
And they'll be like, oh wow.
And I'd be like, oh well,
They'll be like, that's nice.
that's nice.
Now you're not.
Because it isn't that much money when it would take to rebuild this house. They have steep deductibles.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not going to get like 100%. But let me tell you something. If I have a $10,000 deductible on a build that's, I don't know, $500,000, I'll pay the $10,000 deductible.
Right.
I'll be okay with that.
Yes. That is not that bad compared.
I don't know what my deductible is. All I know it is hefty. And when I went over the paperwork for it, I know I blanched at it, and then I folded it back up, put it as an envelope, and put it in the insurance folder.
Because no matter what, it's going to be better than nothing.
It's going to be better than nothing.
Right.
Okay. Okay. We're on our half hour.
That went fast.
That went fast. We will not be here next week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We get the dates. So, because I will be in Atlanta, and then the Monday after that is the 17th. We will see you all on the 17th.
Oh, that's St. Patty's Day.
Is it?
Yeah, I might not be able to be here. I always celebrate St. Patty's Day.
Okay, then maybe we could have something on emergency and disaster regarding alcohol poisoning.
Maybe back in my younger years, but not anymore. Now I'm too old.
Okay, but you know what? Maybe we discuss that.
Sounds good.
Maybe we discuss all things alcohol.
There you go.
All things alcohol.
It's bad. It's very bad.
Well, no, not all alcohol is bad. There's
No, not all.
Which, of course, you don't want to drink that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it. We'll figure it out. What to do if you suspect alcohol poisoning?
Call the doctor.
Call an ambulance. I am sure EMS is pretty busy on St. Patty's Day.
Yeah. I'm sure they probably are. See, I always took that day off. I never worked it.
I don't blame you because there were days that I took off as a groomer. I never worked 4th of July.
Uh,
All right, wasn't going to be dealing with pets who are agitated by 4th of July, the fireworks. That was a given.
uh-huh.
My birthday, I always take my birthday off.
Yeah, I always took my birthday off too. And I always worked Christmas and I worked the major holidays. So St. Patty's Day and my birthday were always the two holidays I took off.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to work Christmas. I would have to really like you, and it will be paid extraordinarily well to actually work Christmas. And there was like no dollar amount that I would work on my birthday. I couldn't imagine what someone could pay me to work my birthday. All right, let's wrap this up.